I'm Huon Hooke, and this is The Real Review. The wine we're tasting today is Pol Roger Brut Réserve non-vintage. So Pol Roger is one of the most admired champagne houses of all. It's a family-owned business. It's one of the bigger family-owned businesses. It's always been family-owned by the Pol Roger and de Billy families, and it's also one of the most beautifully kept wineries and cellars in all of Champagne. It's very, very clean, scrupulously clean. The hygiene is just one of the most important things that they have in their list of priorities. They are constantly updating their winery and their cuvery and their cellars to make sure the latest technology and the latest, all the latest developments in cleanliness and freshness, retaining the freshness in their wine is the most important thing to them. They don't use oak at all. They don't ferment in concrete tanks. Everything they do is in stainless steel, and it's at low temperature. So they do very, very cold settling, cool fermentations, and then when the wines are bottled, they go underground into the cellars. And they are some of the deepest and coldest cellars in all of Champagne, and I think they quite often are less than 10 degrees Celsius temperature, which is pretty cold. So it's all aimed at preserving the style of Pol Roger, which is very fresh, very primary, very clean, and very crystalline, I should say. Very, very lovely wines, very good aperitif wine, especially this Brut Reserve. So the Pol Roger Brut Réserve non-vintage is roughly equal parts of all of the three great varieties of Champagne, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, with about 25% reserve wines in the blend. And they have increased the time on lees these days by about 6 months in recent years. So it's got about 4.5, between 3.5 and 4.5 years on lees, which is pretty good for a non-vintage. Let's have a taste, see what it tastes like. The first thing I notice about it is this lovely fresh bread aroma, pastries, brioche, that kind of thing. But there's also this sort of icing sugar character, which a lot of champagnes have. If you put the two together, you've got iced pastries. If you walk into a nice pastry shop and smell the combination of the pastry and the icing and all the fillings that are in those lovely things, that's the sorts of aromas you get in a wine like this. Beautiful. Very attractive. There's nothing particularly profound or aged about it. It's about freshness and about fruit and just enough complexity from age to give it that extra layer of interest. Ah, delicious. Good intensity of flavour, fills the whole mouth, refreshing, clean. Nice clean finish. There's some sweetness there, but it's not too much. It augments the fruitiness of the wine in the middle palate. Beautifully balanced wine. I think harmony, balance, freshness, those are the key words with the Pol Roger style. And how did we rate this wine at the Real Review? Well, we scored it 92, which is a good score for a non-vintage champagne. It was rated number 54 out of 139 blends from Champagne that we've tasted. That's non-vintage blends. And we're suggesting, well, drink it now. Trouble with non-vintage wines, it's very hard for you and me to tell how old they are and when they were bottled, when they were disgorged. So the key there is to make sure you get fresh stock, know the source that you're going to, know the shop that you go to, make sure it's fresh, and drink it now, but drink it any time the next few years after you buy it would be fine. The food match, well, we always ask the winemakers what they recommend to have with their wines. And the match here is natural oysters. I suspect it's not a champenoise who gave this tip, because the oysters they nominate are from Coffin Bay, which is Australian, or kingfish sashimi is the alternative choice, with a touch of citrus or Asian-style dressings on the fish. Sounds wonderful to me. I think the wine would go perfectly with that. Good health.